second speaker, Professor Hamidulla Marazi, joining us. And I am going to present a brief introduction of Professor Hamidulla Marazi. And because today our speaker was Dr. Chetan Gupta, but suddenly due to some personal work, she denied to be our guest of our speaker. So suddenly Professor Hamidulla Marazi was connected by Professor Pramod Kumar Das, and he suddenly agreed. So thanks so much, Professor Hamidulla Marazi, for your agreeing with us to be present today. Professor Hamidulla Marazi is now acting as the Director, International Center for Spiritual Studies. And Professor Marazi is also acting as Dean, School of Social Sciences, Central University, Kashmir. And Professor Marazi has more than 30 years of teaching experience in JNU, Kashmir University, and Central University, Kashmir. Professor Marazi has visited more than 100 universities and institutions across the country and abroad to deliver talks on comparative religion, Islam, and religious dialogues, and many more things on epistemology, religion, and discovery. I don't want to explore them. And Professor Marazi is a very good academician, and he is a convener of many religious associations of the world. And she has participated in different world fellowship program on religion. He was also acting as a core group member in very international Center for Religion and Diplomacy. He is also honorary director of Islamic Religious Faith and Research Trust. He is the governing body member of All India Milk Council. To his credit, Professor Marazi has published for more than 40 books on Islamic philosophy, epistemology, world religions, and inter-religious dialogue, peace, and other topics. I don't want to read out all the things that he has. So, Professor Marazi is the right person to be with us to speak on religion, to speak on the present scheduled topic, that is communal harmony and Indian religions. And with this, I convey my regard on behalf of philosophy to him for his agreeing with us to speak today. And with this, I request him to commence his speech. Over to Professor Marazi.
Thank you, Sir Kailaji, and my all good friends here, especially Dr. Rao ji, Dr. Krishnamurti ji, Romawani ji, Prajna ji, and so many others, Anup ji. So it was also interesting that to talk about media, and I had some interest in media as well, although I could not join earlier. So discussion was very nice, and it was very, very, I should say, timely and rewarding. So having said this, let us just start today's program. Today's topic is Indian religions and communal harmony. You know that there is a lot of turmoil everywhere in the world, and religion has become part of the problem rather than problem of solution. They're part of solution. In our part of the world also, we have a lot of problems. There are clashes, there is strife, there is conflict, whatever the reasons behind that. But the worst part of this is that sometimes religion is being invoked for all this, strife and conflict. Whereas being a student of religions, of Aryan religions as well as Semitic religions, I feel that religion is hardly responsible for any such type of aggrandizement or strife which is going on everywhere. Religion is being used for non-religious purposes by all the stakeholders, and spirituality has become the casualty in between these two aspects. There is one group who is just using religion or it is political or economic or other reasons, and there's another group, they are just suffering because of their they don't know why they are being just persecuted for their religious faith. Worldwide I'm not talking only in the context of Indian subcontinent. So this has become a great problem. Although religion has made a new entry into the conscience of the people after the Western atheism and materialism and onslaught of so many such type of atheistic philosophies, and religion is coming back, but also there is a lot of violence on the name of religion. And once upon a time, the harmonious role of religion is not in sight. In most cases, as I said already, that sometimes religion is also becoming responsible or made responsible or ostensibly presented as the part of the problem rather than the solution. So now when we talk about Indian religions, there is a great legacy in Indian religions of dialogue and samvad, and there has been not vivad in that sense as we find in philosophy in most cases. So, for example, in the Indian context, the means of dharma consists in various substances, qualities and actions laid down in the Veda and the law books, and then the Granth Sahib, and then also the scriptures of the Jains and Buddhists, some as belonging in common to all men, and some as pertaining specially to distinct castes and groups. So that has been there. And conditions as well. Among the common ones, we have the following: faith in dharma, harmlessness, benevolence, truthfulness, freedom from desire or undue possession, freedom from lust, then purity of intentions, absence of anger, abating use of purifying substances, devotion to deity, fasting, and non-neglect of duties. So these aspects have been discussed in the Indian context, especially in the different religious contexts. And when we talk about dharma, these all issues are being discussed. What is known as dharma or merit is properly belonging to man, and it is not a potentially residing in the action performed. Dharma is the direct cause of happiness, of the means of happiness. And this is the definition which has been given by Radhakrishnan to dharma. And it is the cause of happiness, of the means of happiness, and also of final deliverance. This last consisting in the absolute destruction of all, fresh specific qualities of the self. So self is to be controlled, and carnal self is to be tamed, so that we are able to, justify our existence on this planet, and also to perform our duties in order to get the moksha, or the salvation, or the nirvana. Dharma is destructible by the experiencing of the last item of the happiness. In as much as dharma is an effect, it must come to an end. The results of dharma are such as can be experienced in some cases during thousands of years, and under the circumstances, if such a dharma were to be destroyed by its very first result, there would be nothing left to produce the remaining factors of its result, nor is it possible for dharma to be destroyed in parts, as it is an absolutely impartible entity. So you can understand how dharma has been defined. Better indeed is knowledge than the practice of concentration. Better than knowledge is meditation. Better than meditation is the renunciation of the fruit of action. So this message of Gita is there, and the other religious books of Indians. On renunciation follows immediately peace. So we are in search of peace, and peace of mind comes first. Then come other forms of peace. But when there is no peace of mind, there is frustration, there is lust, there is carnal desire, and there is, I should say, a race for power. and aggrandizement, then this peace just becomes absent from our lives. And even Dharma is not helping us in that way when we just don't use their religion or Dharma for their purpose. It was just, there in the world. Indian philosophy is characterized by the introspective attitude and the introspective approach to reality. And this is a very important point. Philosophy is taught of as Atma Vidya, that is knowledge of the self. So this is a very, very important hallmark of Indian religious philosophy. And philosophy can start either with the external world or with the internal world of man's inner nature, the self of man. In its pursuit of truth, this philosophy is dominated with the inner life and self of man rather than the external world of physical realities. So the inner peace and inner conscience and inner, tranquility is more emphasized upon in the Indian religions rather than the external aspect, and this is different from the Semitic religions to a great extent. The ancient Indian scripture, for example, Bhagavad Gita, endures plurality of religious thought with its mention ekam sadve para bodha vedanti, meaning wise people explain the same truth in different manners. It is an Upanishadic statement from the Yor, which signifies that one God is worshipped in different names. It also literally means truth is one. The wise perceive it differently. We might call God in various names, but perceive him in multiple ways, but he is the only one or the enlightened one. So you can understand how the ultimate reality has been perceived in the context of Indian religions. And then we know that Buddha, although he was very much silent about the metaphysical questions like matter, soul, and God, but this Tathagata or perfect being, when these questions were put to him, he answered them by silence. These 14 questions were declared unanswerable or inexplicable by Buddha. His silence on these questions has been variously interpreted. Some say that Buddha kept silent because he did not know the answer. But this is not true, because he was well versed with all the metaphysical realms. He who searches after metaphysical entities like an eternal soul is compared by Buddha to the foolish lover who says he has fallen in love with the most beautiful damsel in the state whom he has never seen. So Buddha's concern was more with the ethical aspects and the suffering of the human beings rather than the metaphysical questions, which had become the hallmark of the religious discourse during his times. And religion had lost the actual spirit, and it had become the ritual, and it had become the custom, and there were not much, aspects which could just prevail, so that there could be compassion could be found in the people who were after religious, practices. Rather, it had become ritualistic to the core. The beloved of the gods, King Payadasi, honors both ascetics and the householders of all religions. It has been said by Ashoka, and he honors them with gifts and honors of various kinds. Whoever praises his religion due to excessive devotion and condemns others with the thought, "Let me glorify my religion," only harms his religion, says Ashoka. And therefore, contact between religions is good. We need to have dialogue among religions. This was the point which was highlighted by Ashoka. One should listen to and respect the doctrines professed by the others. The beloved of the gods, as he says, King Payadasi, desires that all should be well learned in the good doctrine of all other religions. So to know only one religion was not considered to be sufficient in this way. Rather, the knowledge of other religions was very much important, and this was emphasized by even Ashoka and by other scholars. After the Kalinga War, Ashoka adopted the philosophy of Buddhism and devoted himself to the promotion of Dhamma. He was also known as the pioneer of social harmony. For him, Dharma was not restricted to religion or religious beliefs. Dharma was rather a way of life that revolved around moral principles And these principles would provide a moral law to maintain the order in the world, and also establish the religious harmony in the country. In his second inscription, he wrote, "What is Dhamma? Minor misdeeds and more misdeeds, avoiding evil like fury, cruelty, anger, arrogance, and jealousy, and attachment in kindness, generosity, truth, self-control, purity of heart, observance of ethics, and going for the external purity and straw." So you can see that even he realized what could be the basic objective of the religion, rather than ritualistic, performances. We need to understand the spirit of the religion. It should make man human, and it should make people compassionate, so that they may live in peace and harmony, and then also take care of their fellow beings. His condemnation of metaphysics, as was done by Buddha himself, was from a higher standpoint of spiritual experience. Verily, the absence of fear, the end of suffering, the perpetual wakefulness and enlightenment, the everlasting peace and the eternal joys of the yogis depend on the peace of mind. But if there is no peace of mind and religion is being used for non-religious purposes, then definitely that peace of mind will just, that will depart. Non-violence, equal-mindedness, contentment, austerity, charity, fame, and ill fame, the different states of beings proceed from me alone, as has been mentioned in the Gita. Non-violence, truth, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault, fighting, finding compassion to living beings, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, and steadiness, absence of fickleness. These are the points which have been just mentioned in Gita and in the context of the religion. The worship of the gods, of the twice born, the teachers of the wise, uprightness, continence, and non-violence, this is something which has been highlighted, and this is the penance of the body, as has been mentioned in Gita as well. So, he in whom dwelt truth, virtue, non-violence, restraint, control, he who is free from impurity and is wise, he is called an elder. So you can see these wise aphorisms and the wise advices which have been given by these religious books, especially Gita, and also the Buddhist scriptures. The practice of the five virtues, that's ahimsa, non-violence, truth-speaking, non-stealing, chastity, and non-attachment to worldly things, constitutes right conduct. And Jains were the first to talk about ahimsa and non-violence and as a rule. And this has also been the Indian religious ethos. Final words of the departing people who were just being taught Upanishads and other religious scriptures. The Brahma tell to Prajapati, Prajapati to Manu, Manu to human beings, he who according to rule has learned the Vedas from the family of a teacher, in time left over from doing work for the teacher, he who after having come back again in a home of his own, continues Veda study in a clean place and produces sons and pupils, he who has concentrated all his senses upon the self, he who is harmless towards all things elsewhere than all holy places, he indeed who lives thus throughout his life reaches the Brahma world and does not hither again, he does not return hither again. So you can say this teaching of the Upanishads also reminds us about ahimsa and communal harmony and fellow feeling and taking care of others than one's own religious counterparts. That mode of living which is founded upon a total harmlessness towards all creatures, or in case of actual necessity upon a minimum of such harm, is the highest morality. Sandipava, it has been mentioned there. And then end of science is harmlessness, truthfulness, purity, freedom from spite, abstinence from cruelty, and forgiveness and duties common to all. And then answer non-violence or more literally non-injury, and the doctrine of metaphysics metapsychosis are two areas common to three Indian religions, that is Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. It is reasonable to assume that these areas go back to a common source. Whether ahimsa and metapsychosis depend on each other or cause it related is an important problem. Originally, strict ahimsa was properly restricted to the ascetics, since it encompasses the abstinence from injury and to any living creature, be it animal or plant. And with the Jains, even of the elements, water, fire, and air. In a way, the session is corroborated by the view of the Jains, according to which there are two kinds of ahimsa, that is gross and the subtle. One is that of the layman who must refrain from injuring beings with 2 to 5 sense organs, and that of the monk who must avoid injuring any being. So these aspects of Jainism and Buddhism and Hinduism need to be highlighted in modern times, because now we need such type of understanding of Indian religions, where we can find the same karuna and the sympathy and the empathy for the living creatures, not only humans but even the animals. Also in Buddhism, injuring lower beings is a lesser sin than injuring higher beings. So this has been also there. And in Hindu sources, this is not explicitly stated, at least not in connection with the rule of ahimsa. But Manu offers a hierarchy of beings which implicitly says the same thing. It comes out most clearly. The killing of small animals with bones requires more severe penance than that of the animals without bones. These are followed by the cutting of fruit trees, living creatures, and food, spices, fruits, and flowers. And for the Brahman, there are many rules which depend on ahimsa. Thus, he is to earn his livelihood only in professions which do not which have to deal with only the views which have nothing to do with this hinsa. The Brahman and the warrior should avoid agriculture, because by plowing one injures living beings and is made dependent on others. In older times, agriculture was not prohibited to the Brahman, but Gautama gives a restriction: agriculture and trade are allowed only if the Brahman does not do the work himself. He is also prohibited from selling animals for slaughter. So you can see that such type of prohibitions have been there, and especially so far as ahimsa is concerned, that has been a very important principle which have been adhered by all these religions. And there are so many rules and regulations for that, especially for the preaching class, and they had to just always abide by these rules and regulations. And then about the Jainism, the ahimsa has been a very important aspect, and that is related to their philosophy of Anikantvad and Syadvad, that reality has many faces. There is many facetedness of reality. So we just call one aspect of reality as true and others untrue or false. So there can be different understanding and there can be different interpretation of the truth. So no one can claim to be the custodian of the truth in totality. Rather, it is just like the example of the blind men who are in search of the elephant, but they just hold part of one part of the elephant, and then they claim that they have that whole knowledge of the elephant. And this has become just now the story with other religions during the time of Jains, and they said that this has been the problem with the people, and then they just wanted to just give a very I should say such type of interpretation of their religion, which was a little bit hegemonic, and where they wanted to just say that truth is lying only with us. And from this principle, even Gandhi had just reached to the principle of truth is God rather than God is truth, because there are religions which don't believe in God, and there are religions which believe in so many gods, but which God or whose God is the true? But so far as truth is concerned, there has been no disagreement. Everyone accepted truth. And in this way, there was the possibility of plurality. And this was the ethos of, the Indian religions. And that had created a great, deal of understanding, fellow feeling, compassion, and working together. And that composite type of culture was there. And all the people used to have dialogue, and they used to discuss things. And out of that discussion, many things emerged, and people belonging to different denominations, they were getting benefit from each other's religious experiences, and they had respect for each other, and they had the love for each other, and they were just learning, just like students, from each other. And that was very important so far as communal harmony in the Indian context, in the religious context of India is concerned. And for example, when we talk about Ahimsa in the context of Jains, so they had very important 5 vows, and these vows were compulsory, and these were important so far as their attitude towards their life was concerned. And we know even the yoga system that was a practical discipline by which the suppression of the mental states was brought about through the practice of spiritual exercises and the conquest of the desire. So to control your desire so that you will not harm human beings or animals or anyone else. The yoga gives us the 8-fold method of abstinence, observance, posture, breath control, withdrawal of the senses, fixed attention, contemplation, and concentration. The first 2 of these refer to the ethical prerequisites for the practice of yoga. And people should practice non-violence, truthfulness, honesty, continence, and non-acceptance of gifts. And they should observe purification, internal and external, contentment, austerity, and devotion to God. Posture is a physical aid to concentration. Breath control aids serenity of mind. Abstraction of the senses from their natural functions helps us to keep the mind still. So Muslims have counterpart of that is fasting. And through fasting, they control their desires, carnal desires. And then the prayer is also there, for example, Salah, which is known as 5-time prayer. That also gives them concentration. And it is another form in Indian context was the yoga. And what is the purpose of yoga? It gives us strength to control our senses and lusts and desires. And then the 5 steps are indirect or external means to yoga. In fixed attention, people get the mind focused on a particular object. Contemplation or meditation leads to concentration. Yoga is identified with concentration, that is samadhi, where the self regains its eternal and pure free status. This is the meaning of freedom or release or salvation in the yoga system. And then you can understand that these yogic practices, one can attain, super moral powers through these, as from other practices in other religions, in Islam and in Buddhism, and then in Christianity as well, and especially in Indian religions, these practices are very important. And from all these discussions, we can understand, as has been mentioned by the Koraswami, he says that for him the Bhagavad Gita is probably the most important single work which condenses the essential fundamentals in a single whole. And this is a very important point in his book. He talks about that. And it is assumed, for example, that even the oldest forms of Hinduism are neither polytheistic nor pantheistic, and that no doctrine of reincarnation other than that of the eminent God who never became anyone is taught. Hinduism is the oldest of the surviving mystery religions, according to Koraswami, in no fundamental sense unique, but a form of the, serving mystery religions in no fundamental, but a form of the wisdom uncreate, of which the, foundations are essentially same as we can find in Platonism, and Christianity and Taoism and other traditional doctrines. From the Indian point of view, Agni, Buddha, Horus, Moses, Christ, and Muhammad are the varying names of one and the same eternal avatar, maintains no Koraswami. There can be misunderstanding, but never a conflict of essential doctrines. Or as the Buddha says, there is but one truth and no other. So, unquote. Buddhism and Hinduism alike are doctrines of self-denial. Whoever would serve the self is must have eradicated his aggrandizement and his desire and his consciousness of self and things. Thus is to be, understood not only ethically as a self, there is no other, but also metaphysically. So this, in his introduction, it has been mentioned by Goswami about Indian religions, and we understand it in a better way. Then the best example of that is as well Sikhism, and Sikhism has also talked about जब तक दुनिया रहिए नानक कुछ कहिए कुछ सुनिए कुछ कहिए यानी as long as we live in this world, let us listen something and let us say something. First let us listen to others, then say something. And then अव्वल अल्लाह नूर पाया कुदरत सब बंदे एक नूर से सब जग उपजिया कौन भले मंदे. And in this way, this culminated to the Bhakti movement. We know Bhakti movement also how many strands of thought were joined there, and how a new system of understanding came forward, and that affected many strands of thought here and there. And then the Sufis also came, and then they also contributed their lot. And in this way, a communal, harmonious atmosphere was created, and this whole subcontinent had become a symbol of harmony, religious harmony, communal harmony. And there was dialogue and there was not deadlock. As in the case of the West, there is always deadlock, and there is thesis, there is antithesis, there is synthesis. There is clash of civilization. There is survival of the fittest. And in this way, but in the Indian context, and so far as Indian religions are concerned, there had been the dialogue, and the result of that was that when the foundation of the golden temple were to be laid down, a Muslim saint was invited for laying down the foundations of the golden temple, Harmandir Sahib. So this is strange. Nowadays we can't think that any religious community can invite a saint or a scholar or a religious symbol from another religion to just lay down the foundation of its religious building. So where from that culture had emerged? That was because of this dialogue and understanding and the spiritual journey of the people towards the ultimate goal. And they were not thinking that they're opponents of each other, but rather they were just companions of their way to each other, and they were helping them. And it was in the same spirit that Mardana Marazi and Bala, they used to accompany Guru Nanak to all places wherever he went. And then in the Granth Sahib, we find that Guru Bani of many other people, including Baba Farid and also Kabir and so many other gurus, and 10 gurus, mashallah, and they belong to different backgrounds. So this was because of that cultural and religious harmony that this culture had emerged, and that also we could find in different type of strains in Dara Shuku as well as Vatul Wujud and Vedanta. And if you just try to see the characteristics of the Vatul Wujud and Vedanta, there are many things which are very common, and people have shared their thoughts on the issues. And then the poets and the scholars and the Sufi poets, they also were taking the message to people in the same spirit, and with the passage of time that there was a very good relations among all the communities in Indian context and in the subcontinent. And but after the coming of the Britishers, then they started writing books about Muslims, about their rule, and then about other communities. And with the passage of time, such type of culture was brought, and such type of understanding of the things was just made, that many misconceptions took place, and that culture of interreligious harmony and exchange of ideas, and that harmonious relationships among the people to learn from each other, even to just invite each other for very important celebrations. That spirit just died down, and the day came when the hatred started, and lot of ignorance and ill will just were ensued, and the result was that lot of mistrust has taken place among the communities, and then religion has also become a source of, sometimes it has been misused by all the people, whosoever wanted to just have some other objectives than spiritual objectives. Because when religion does not graduate to spirituality, then hatred takes place definitely. But when religion is being used for the spiritual and moral and ethical purposes, definitely the love will ensue, because all the religions have some divine element in them, or supernatural element in them, or at least ethical element in them, because there are religions which don't believe in God, but at least so far as morality is concerned, ethics is concerned, so there they have similar views about many aspects. There may be interpretation, there may be metaphysical differences here and there, but so far as ethical and spiritual realities are concerned, there has been always exchange of ideas among all these Indian religions. And that was the reason that a very, very, I should say, healthy atmosphere of, interaction and dialogue and samvad was going on in the medieval times. And there was a lot of give and take, and that gave rise to languages, that gave rise to literature and genres of literature. And with the passage of time, languages developed like Urdu, which has just imbibed many aspects from the Sanskrit language, Persian, Arabic, and also Pali, and other languages, even from Turkish language to some extent, because even the word Urdu is from Turkey. That is in the army. Urdu means army. The people who the Lashkari, which has been called as Lashkari, and in this way, languages were also influenced from this interaction and this harmonious relationships among the communities. And religions were very important contributors to this understanding. And we need to revive that spirit again, and let us just invoke the religious teachings rather than what has been written by this man or that man, what the people have said, what the historians have said. But when we go directly to the scriptures, as I have just tried to sum up some of these, and because of the paucity of time, I have just collected a lot of things on the subject, but I did not present everything because I wanted to have some more discussion and get some more insights from the audience, and that will be better. So because this needs a lot of debate and discussion, because we have to restart these deliberations, because a lot of mistrust has taken place here and there. And as a student of comparative religions, both of Aryan religions and Semitic religions, I don't find any problem here. And I find that we can read each other's religion, we can understand each other's religion. And as has been the tradition, and Al-Biruni studied from the sadhus and from the Sanskrit scholars, and then he came out with the Kitab al-Hind, one of the very important books. And we have also the example of the Bistani Mazahib of Mullah Mohsin Fani, in which he has mentioned for the first time in about 100 pages about Sikhism, which he calls that Nanak-Panthis, and even Ibn Hazm Andalusi, he has also talked in Al-Milal Wanal about Hinduism and Buddhism and other religions of India. And in the same way, there have been other scholars, and the best example of that is also Dara Shukru, who could just translate the Upanishads, and then he wrote two important books, Siri Akbar and Majma al-Bahrain, and Sakinat al-Awliya and Safinat al-Awliya and others. There he also mentioned about all these religious spends and religious issues he has discussed. And even he has mentioned that the mention of Kitab al-Maqdun in the Quran can be alluded to Upanishads. He has talked about that. And then his books were translated into different European languages, and in this way Europe was exposed to the Indian thought and Indian philosophy and religious legacy. This was the spirit, and this harmonious approach was there among the medieval scholars of both the religions, and they were just trying to exchange their ideas. And how strange it is nowadays, at least the Orientalists are writing books on Hinduism, Islam, Sikhism, Buddhism, but the people who are living in India, they don't read each other's religion, and they don't write on each other's religion, and they do try to understand, living together for centuries together, but they don't know the sensibilities of each other's religion. And this was not the spirit of the religions which we study, which we read, and which we just research. So we need to just to bring that legacy back for our new generations, so that they may live in in peace and harmony, and there is tranquility, and there is fellow feeling, and there is I should say cooperation in their social affairs, in their economic affairs, and there is dialogue in action, and dialogue in thought as well. And as once the different communities together, they work for the freedom of the country, and then they all shoulder to shoulder, and they give sacrifice all of them. And they were thinking that this was their religious duty to just help each other and cooperate there. And this religious harmony was there, and communal harmony was there, and that was created by the religious ethos. It was not created by any other political, I should say, objectives, but there was religious sanction behind each and every step and move during that period. But with the passage of time, a lot of mistrust has taken place. So we need to just see the Indian religions, especially in the context of how to bring this harmony back to the society and make this world a better place for our new generations, so that there is always a goodwill among all of us, and we contribute to make this world a better place for living and progress together. And as has been said, I will end with this saying of Nehru: the only alternative to coexistence is co-destruction. If there is no coexistence, there is co-destruction, and that is happening everywhere in the world. So India can show the way, and especially Indian religions have that, wherewithal, which they can come to the rescue of the humanity, as has been said by Schopenhauer, that Upanishads are the solace of my life and solace of my death, and these are just like the breeze of a morning breeze, the morning breeze, like morning breeze, thrush like that, like the mountain air. So you can understand how they appreciated Indian books or Indian scriptures. And then if you see from the Islamic point of view, Islam has also contributed a great deal so far as Sufism is concerned in this harmonious relationships among the communities. And there were only two objectives of Sufism. One was to serve God and serve his servants. And this was the best form of worship in the sight of Muinuddin Chasti. And he says that if you are busy with worship, but some distrusted person comes to you, you should leave your worship and help him. So this was the ethos which was created by these all religious scriptures and personages for us, and we need to preserve and rejuvenate that culture once again. Thank you very much. I have completed my talk.
Yes. Dr. Maharana, are you there? Dr. Kailash Maharana, sir. Dr. Kailash Maharana. Well, I think Dr. Maharana is not there. Well, thank you so much, sir, for your nice lecture. And as I could see that you touched nearly all religions are prevalent in this land, on this land, and then you made when you made a reference to Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, Sufism, Bhakti movement, Asoka's Dhamma. So even you talked of Dara Sikho, who very valiantly made a parallel between the Sufi movement, the tenets of Sufism, and the Vedantic tradition that we have here. So you see, the problem doesn't lie there. Actually, there is as the religions go, they at the base they are fundamentally one. The problem is, as you could even point out, that the problem very well lies in say, you did not make a reference to Ashoka, sorry, Akbar's Dini Ilahi. Well, this is again an attempt to bring together various religions onto a platform where there can be a mutual trust, understanding, and cooperation. But the problem is, religion this day has fallen into the hands of those who have a limited knowledge of religion, but they express as if they have a knowledge of its totality. And once the religion fall into come under the control of those hands, so religion itself falls into a problem, and it has to go to a side which is partial, and it is there that the problem arises. So if we go, well, adding to what Marazi has said, one thing that comes to my mind, that if you go by Gandhiji, when he says truth is God, so that is the best expression of religion. So wherever there is truth, well, truth is, well, that is not, some network issue. Dona, Sriram.
You are audible, sir. You are audible.
To my system. Well, anyway, if we go by Gandhiji, who says truth is God, well, that's the best expression of any religion. We can find in truth in every religion. Wherever there is the practice of truth, there is that is the best expression of religion. If we realize that people belonging to different sects, different cultures, if they believe in this, if they come adopt to this, then that is the best expression of religion whatsoever. So there is truth in every religion. The problem is we do not come up with the notion of acceptance. So that is the need, that we need to accept. So if there is a growing sense of acceptance for the other, well, there would be empathy, and we can find ourselves in much communal harmony, irrespective of the fact that we belong to different traditions, different cultures, or maybe different religions. So religion is never a problem. So that's what I think is the message that Professor Marazi wants to share with us. Well, it's now, the paper is now the presentation is open for discussion. Well, we have with us Professor Ghosh. Well, I welcome him for his observations and suggestions. Professor Ghosh.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. Professor Marazi is always, as usual, has given us a very nice lecture on the interreligious understanding, as far as I have understood it. तो 70 का दशक का एक गाना याद आता है मुझे, दुनिया हो दुनिया तेरे जवाब नहीं. अभी तो मैं बोलने लगता हूँ कि इंडिया हो इंडिया तेरा जवाब नहीं, क्योंकि you see the situation that we are passing through these days. Now India, which ought to have been an integrated country, it is facing three problems. One is regionalism, the other is linguism, and last one is most virulent, that is communalism. So communal harmony. So where from this communalism is generated? It is actually generated out of a clash between the social identity and religious identity. And you see, each one who are propagating religion separately, they want to say that their religion is the best and the other one is bad. And in this way, a type of harmony never comes. And always, well, you can find out the causes where from this is generated. But basically, Indian psyche, I believe, is an integrated one. Because you see, you start with the Vedas. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadan. It is there, Rig Vedas saying. And similarly, the two other things I would like to say, and I also want to know from you about Quran and Islam, one thing, that you see in Mahabharata we get this thing, that I will not like others to do something to me. I will not do something to others which I will not do. I will not accept others to do that to me. This was also reflected in Kant's and the biblical morality, that we are getting the same thing. I have to keep in mind that about the others, and I will not like others to do something, and I will not do something to others which I will not like others to do to me. So, in these situations, what is your opinion about Quran? Because does Quran mentions about this type of thing? And if it is so, then why this type of we have I want to relate it to the earlier one, the media hype, and always this educational madrasa education system and all these things, they are always put into the litmus test, that they are taught in such a manner that they are trying to develop a hatred for other religions, and in the process they are become fundamentalists. So that is, these things are very important scenario that we are facing day to day. And how do you like to react on this? And please enlighten us about the Islam on this issue. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So very nice, Dr. Ghoshji. Always you are insightful. Please.
I have a related queries.
Okay. Please.
So you will couple together. You will be giving.
Okay.
I was listening to you with rapt attention, and it was a marvelous way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Taking something. Sir, you have said that man in the journey towards eternity, he has a struggle through several ups and downs, but was never in such a critical situation. Religion provided a foolproof umbrella, as you have said. That foolproof umbrella in the march of the continued, and his march continued unbuttered. Though there existed number of religions and sects in the past, to our great surprise and joy, that the moral fiber, as you have already said, narrated in your entire story, in my entire lecture, that your moral fiber of all are similar and appears to be the prescription of ethical conduct appears to be have been dictated by the same physician, as you have already narrated it. So just I have tried to conclude. Now the question and query is, because as our Professor Ghosh has said, there is Surah Kafirun also. You might be know from me, because Surah Kafirun categorically says this is your way and this is your. We do not have to interfere in the paths of others. So you have just, you have narrated entire thing such in a minute detail and analyzed the things in a particular way. Now the query starts from on my part, that what has gone wrong in our society, that the number of religions that are appearing on the surface, but they are quarreling, there is infighting about this. And how it came that the religion, instead of becoming an unified force, has become a divisive force. It needs to be analyzed in the light of man's intellectual attainment and spiritual degradation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Very good question, sir. And also your observation. Both observations are very important as far as Professor Ghosh is concerned. So he has been always.
प्रोफेसर हामिद सर,
ओके
वर्तमान समय में कॉमनल हार्मनी और इंडियन रिलीजन में समन्वय किस प्रकार स्थापित होगी,
वही बात कर रहा हूँ मैं. लेट मी मैं जवाब दूंगा इंशाल्लाह. सो असल में दिस इज रियली वेरी गुड ऑब्जर्वेशन बाय प्रोफेसर घोष. So far as the understanding is concerned, and also how what Quran says about this. So let me tell you, because there is a lot of misconception about Quran. Being a student of Quran, and I know a little bit Arabic also, and have translated some of the portions of the Quran and made a comparative study with Quran and other religious books of the world. So Quran has categorically said that if anyone is doing wrong to you, do good to him. Idfa billati ahsan. Faizal lazi bainahu wa bainaka adawat kallahu kannahu waliyun hamim. If people are doing bad to you, do good to them. And then you will find the people who have animosity with you, they will become your bosom friends. You return bad with good. Not only that, you should just reciprocate that if someone is doing good to you, you should do also. No, if someone is doing bad to you, do good to him. And Quran says that if a person kills one innocent person, as he killed the whole humanity. And if a person saves one individual, as he has saved the whole humanity. Now, so far as this madrasa or whatever you mentioned about that, so basically there is a lot of propaganda also going on. People do go to the actual places, they do meet the people, they say what the newspaper, as there was a good discussion about media, how media has created so many stereotypes about this group and that group and this organization and that. So we need to do a research on the subject. What is madrasa doing? So madrasa is, in my way, there may be some people who are doing something wrong, but so far as I have gone through madrasa, I have seen madrasa, I have been I have done some research on that, and some of my students have conducted research. So they are also trying to give the basic knowledge of religion in their madrasas, and they are so much keen about spirituality. Some of the madrasas, they are more interested in ethical and spiritual, attainments rather than any political or even in material. They are not in the race in material, aspects. They are just living a very contented life for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 monthly income they are getting. But they are more interested in their religious education and spiritual education and ethical education. And they want to just prepare the imams for the masjids or the muezzins who can call for the prayer. And they are not interfering in any aspect of in social life. And sometimes we complain that why you people are not going to compete in the modern education and other things. But they do that. So in this way, madrasa is also can be, that they can be also sensitized if there are something which is not up to the mark. We need to open up to the people, meet people rather than criticize. If we, as I was asking once in a German scholar, that once upon a time these Western people were living under dark ages. But Muslims helped them, and then they gave them the Renaissance and Enlightenment. But now they don't help us. Well, we are also living nowadays. Some places we have a lot of problems with education. They should help us rather than criticize. So we need to, because they are also our counterparts. They are people from the country. If they have some weaknesses, let us help them to grow from this ignorance to knowledge. This is the point. And second point is, so far you mentioned about Surah Kafirun. So Surah Kafirun is such a chapter which tells us that if you don't accept my viewpoint, no problem. You go with your religion, I will go with my religion. But still we can live together. As Quran says, La ikraha fid din, qad tabayyana rushd minal ghayy, that there is no compulsion in the matters of religion. Because religion is a matter of conscience. No one can impose conscience on other people unless and until they themselves are convinced. So in this way, there is no possibility of conversion so far as forceful approach is concerned. Islam does not believe at all in this. And there can be dialogue, there can be discussion, but lakum dinakum waliyadin. You may have your religion, I may have my religion, but we can cooperate with each other. We can help each other. And so far as social aspects are concerned, moral aspects, there we need to cooperate. We need to help each other. And Quran says, Ta'awunu 'alal birri wat taqwa. You help each other in the matters of goodness and piety. And don't help each other in the matters of oppression and sin. This is the categorical commandment of Quran. Never help each other in the matters of oppression or sin, but help each other in the matters of piety and goodness. So in this way, there are copious verses of the Quran which mention that you can cooperate with the people, you can go with the people, you can have discussion with them, you can have dialogue. You just talk to the people in a nice, rational way, and always gives beautiful sermonizing rather than categorical sermonizing, judgmental sermonizing. We can have dialogue, we can have understanding, we can just discuss things. But if there is not still agreement, we can say lakum dinakum waliyadin, to you your religion, to my religion. But unless and until we become sensitive about each other's religious feelings, there will be never peace in the world. Problem is that we don't respect each other's religious sensibilities. So Quran says, La tasubbu allazina yaduna min dunillah. Never vilify those who are worshipping other than Allah, because they will vilify your Lord, your God. So never vilify even those who are worshipping others than God. So this is a Quranic categorical statement of Quran. We never need to ridicule anyone's religious symbols. Quran does not allow us to do that. And if a person is doing that, he is going against Quran. He is going against the injections of the Quran. So in this way, these are the injections. But as you know, religion is not, as you rightly said, that people have a lot of ignorance about religion. Muslims don't know what is Islam. Hindus don't know what is Hinduism. And both say that we know the best about our religion, and they don't know. There's a problem. And ignorance is the worst enemy of us unless and until we know each other's religion. Because knowledge of only one religion is knowledge of nothing. We need to know each other's, then we can only be sensitive about others' sensibilities. And so far as our, this second
one thing, do you think that there is any connection between monotheistic version, monotheism and fundamentalism. Because you see, in a polytheistic situation, as we in Hinduism, there are so many gods, so many. So is it having any impact on the psyche of the person from the early childhood who is born into a particular religion? Do you think there is any connection between this?
No, sir. So far as I have understood Tawheed or monotheism tells us that we all are the children of one God. So there is no possibility of hating each other. For example, Quran says categorically, Ya ayyuhan-nas inna khalaqnakum min zakarin wa unsa. O people of the world, we have created you from the pair of two men and women. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. And we have made you clans and tribes to know each other. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The best among you is a person who is fearful to God more. So there is no consideration of low and high so far as monotheism is concerned, because all are the creations of one God. So there is no difference. As in Sikhism, Allah Noor Paya Kudrate Sabande, Ek Noor says subject Ubjaya Kun Balekun Mande. When there is only one source of life, there is no difference in the creation of the people. They are all one. They are brothers. And Prophet said in the last sermon, Kullukum min Adam. All of you are from the Adam. Adam min Turab. Adam was from the soil. So la fazal Arabi ala ajmin. There is no preference of an Arabian on non-Arabian, and not for a red complexion person on a non-red complexion person. So all are from Adam, and Adam is from soil. So in this way, Tawheed or monotheism is leading us to unity of the human race as well, because we believe that one God is our creator. We are one family. So this is helping us in this way, that we should think about others. They are also the creatures of Allah, and we should serve them. As Prophet has said, the people are the family of God. The best among them is a person who is best to his family. So in this way, it helps us in order to become more unified and harmonious, rather than dividing us. But if there is no knowledge, Muslims may not have knowledge, I may not have knowledge, then I may just think so. But if I think really that we are one from one God, our father was one, our mother was one, and our creator is one, then definitely there is no scope for any divisions or any hatred, because we are not responsible others of other religions. It is God, whether he brings someone in this religion or that religion. And Quran says God never wants that. Had God willed that there should be one religion, he would have done that. But he has kept so many religions. For each and every person, we have kept a method and way of life. So we can't impose that on others. What is my way of life? You can't impose your way of life. So in this way, Quran never says us that we should hate others because they are worshipping someone else and we are not worshipping that. Rather, we are from the same source. We are from the same father and mother. So we are like a family. So we should live like a family, and best among us is that person who is good to the family of God. So this was the spirit behind Sufism, also behind the early, spiritual personalities.
At the very outset, sir, you have said Ekam Sad Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti.
Yeah.
This is where,
Thank you.
and Eko Aham Bahushyama. Whatever the religion we are seeing in this world, he wished I am alone, but I be in so many seats, in so many forms I may appear. So it is also the same thing you are saying, sir. Eko aham bahushyamah. So many religions are sprang because of the one seed and because of the one truth. So this is very much clearly said. And finally, I have just mentioned Surah Kafirun. It has already said very, very clearly, this is their path, it is your path. You do not interfere into them. Do not interfere into
You're right, sir. You're right, sir. Quite right.
If we follow the things in a principal way, in a very core of the Quran and the Vedas and the Upanishads, I think in our journey there will be no problem. We can go together, Sangha Vichadhyam, Sangha Gachadhyam, and we can be united very easily, and religious pluralism and human integration can have a very beautiful end, I think, provided we follow our religious tenets honestly and properly.
Thank you, sir. You are right, sir. You are quite right. Quite right.
Thank
Quite
you.
right.
Thank you, Professor Marazi, for your very good response. So one thing that comes to my mind from the questions raised by Professor Srivastav Ghosh and your response to that, that there is a need to realize, as you said, that we have all come out from the same source,
Yeah.
and the goal to which we are moving is that the same one. The source is one, and the goal is one. The problem is the paths that we are taking are different. So based on the difference in the paths that we are taking, we find that there is a difference. But actually there is no difference. We are all trying to move to that. So there is no problem in finding that, say the goal to which we are moving. So there is a disconnection in the patterns of understanding each other. So there lies a problem. Now, when we talk of, say, Islam, we talk of, say, universal brotherhood. Okay, that is very much seen. The highest element that we can see in Islam is the idea of universal brotherhood. Say, for instance, if we look at Christianity, the idea of self-purification, or say if you refer to Jainism, the idea of ahimsa, or if you make a reference to Buddhism, the idea of love, or say the middle path. Now, if we make a reference to Hinduism, the idea of spirituality. So the elements that we come across different religions. So if there is an attitude of acceptance of learning from the other, so we find really there is no difference in what we are doing, because all maybe we are taking different paths. We all merge at that goal. So that is the realization at the present time needs, irrespective of what religion that we preach or practice. There is, as you said, there is a need for accepting. So it's a sense of acceptance that should really come up from the individual religions, the advocates of individual religions, so that we can stay in harmony with one another. So there is no problem from any religion whatsoever. The problem lies in the mindset that we can. So there lies the problem, and that mindset, okay, because greatly comes out of the misunderstanding of religion, the misunderstanding that we are at first human beings. Before we are religious persons, we are human beings. Okay, so the human concern is missing. Okay, so if the sense of humanity is a sense of human concern arises, I think that barricades, they automatically break away. So most problematic thing is when I was referring to this recently, when we talk of in intermediate classes, when we teach the connotation of man, we say the connotation of man is animality and rationality. We don't say the connotation of man is humanity. So that means animality is so much affects to us that we are not able to divorce from that animality. And because of that, we are getting far away from humanity. So the highest religion whatsoever, whatever the religion that we will practice, the highest thing that should surface up, that should come out, is the sense of humanity, a human concern. And that is the highest religion, as I feel so. So there is no problem with any religion. The problem lies in attitude, and the attitude has to change, and it should come up with a position that the highest religion, if at all, that has to exist, and that can be seen in all religions, is the sense of humanity. And that is the only thing that we can do, that we can practice, and we can stay together. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And well, we have with us, if anybody is interested to share their views, they're welcome. Well, we have with us our admin, Professor Das. Well, please, sir, come up with your observations. Professor Das.
We have two words. One is dharma and the other is religion. Professor Marazi spoke about dharma and religion in the first part of his talk. The erroneous linguistic comparison between dharma and religion is the problem. Dharma should not be translated as religion. Dharma means dharayati iti dharma. Dharma is the understanding of the essence. Dharma is the understanding of the common. That is common to all. Essence means the being. The being. Human being. Even abstract the human, only being. That we have being. We have existence. We have essence. We may call it humanity, rationality, animality, anything that is essence. So understanding of that essence is dharma. But how can, and understanding the difference is religion? Because we are bound to be different. Suppose the goal is the same, I want to go to Kashmir, I may go by train, I may go by bus, I may go by aeroplane. So the way, therefore religion is the way of life. Dharma is not the way of life. Dharma is the essence of life. Dharma is the goal of life. Religion is the way of life. The way means how you reach that goal, how you achieve that goal, how you attain that goal. So the goal is the same, but the ways are different. So understanding the essence is the real education. And understanding the essence is possible if we have tolerance for the differences. We have acceptance, we should have acceptance for the differences. So if I am a Hindu, I have different type of rituals. If I am a Muslim, I have different types of rituals. So religion is ritual based, but dharma is the essence. Religion is institutional, dharma is essence. So it is very natural that we are different, because we are born in a particular religion, but we all are born with that essence. So that is lacking. Why a religion person becomes a fundamentalist? Because he mistakes the way as the goal. Because he mistakes the ritual as the essence. That is the problem. The ritual is different from the essence. So we may belong to different religions, but we are one so far as dharma is concerned. Dharaveti dharma. Universal brotherhood is that we are all brothers, we are all one. We are all one so far as dharma is concerned. We are different so far as practice is concerned. Thank you. And practice and theory should go hand in hand. They should not be in conflict. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Das. Well, very nicely said. As you say, dharma is the essence of life, and religion is the way of life. And the religions, any religion whatsoever, as a way of life, should help us to realize that essence of life, so that we become one with that source, we become one with that goal, and as an essence, we find no difference. So that is that is the true thing that should come out from each one of us. That no doubt, religion is a way of life, but this way should elevate us to realize the essence. And if we realize the essence, that is the true understanding of religion, and that's the true, and that way religion would help us to actually elevate us to reach the goal. Thank you, Professor Das. Well, we have Prabhas Kumar. Well, he wants to say something. Professor, please.
Yes. Thanks, sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Audible, sir. Audible.
Yeah.
Sir, you're audible.
Yeah. Swami Vivekananda had given the concept of universal religions. I would like to know that, sir, is it relevant today?
Yeah, so far as I have gone through that, Hinduism, a universal religion, and mashallah, that is very, very, pregnant with good thoughts and good inspirations. I have gone through that. I feel that that can be even just presented before the West. Why not before the East? So that is very much relevant. Why not? And he has tried to just sum up the essence of Hindu religion before the world bodies, and that has opened a new vistas before them. And that was very much appreciable everywhere, and that is still relevant to modern times.
Thanks, sir. Thanks.
Yes, sir. One thing let me say here is, universal religion that Swami Vivekananda talks of is a sort of catalyst for the conflict of religions. It's the catalyst, meant to meet, to address to the conflict of religions. And he tries to explain this by the very good example of a photograph. So he says he takes a photograph, he takes an image and tries to take the photographs of the image from different angles. You see, the image is one, but the photographs taken from different angles differ. So we are all trying to reach that goal. Okay, the reality is one, but the point is the photographs that we get, okay, they are different. So the way even Professor Marazi has tried to bring in Jainism, so it is a perspective, and as long as we confine to a particular perspective, that becomes a problem. So religions also, when they confine to a particular perspective, and when there is no sense of acceptance for the other perspective, there lies the problem. But in the photographs example, you said very nicely. You said the photographs are different, okay, but that doesn't make the image different. So that is the sense that we need to understand. Only the perspectives differ, and we need to respect each of the perspectives, and that's how we can have a sense of acceptance for the other, and we can build in what is called a sense of universality, universal acceptance for the other, and that's how we can frame out what is called a universal religion.
Hello, actually, what Vivekananda says is this, that no one is born into a religion, but each one is born for a religion. So that is how we can get the spirit of the universal religion, because that is how he tried to establish universal religion. Thank you.
Universal religion means understanding the essence of all religions.
All religions, yeah.
That is the real meaning of universal religion. Universal religion means understanding the essence of different religions. Dharma Mahasabha. That was Dharma Mahasabha. That means Dharma means the essence. Understanding of that essence is the real wisdom. That difference is natural. That one in unity in difference, unity in diversity. So that diversity, yes, unity in diversity. So that is universal religion. Because we are universal in nature, we should understand that universality. So in the language of Roma Bandi Madam, Dharma is universal, religion is personal. So we may belong to different religions by birth or by choice. Suppose I am born Hindu, but by choice I may become Muslim. Okay, so we may belong to any religion by birth or by choice, but if I am really educated, I should understand the essence of humanity, essence of all being. The highest essence is the being, that is the existence, Sat Chit Ananda, and that is common to all. That common essence should be understood in the literal sense, should be realized by all human beings, because it is a human possibility. We don't expect that from animals. We don't expect that from plants. If really we claim that we are human beings, we should understand the essence of our being. The essence of our being is not that I am a Hindu or you are a Muslim. That is not my essence. My essence is ethics. So dharma is ethical. Religion is institutional or ritual. So any religion devoid of ethical principles is not dharma at all.
Yeah. And there's one point, sir, if you allow me, one point is there is a very interesting verse in the Quran, Fitratullahi fataran nas alayha, that the nature on which God has created all beings on that nature, as you said rightly. Our nature is basically spiritual. So God has created us on that nature, and we have been told to stand on that nature, which has been created by God for you when you were born. And we have been told also, Alastu birabbikum, am I not your Lord? We all said, our souls said, yeah, you are our Lord. So we have the innate idea of one Lord in our heart. That is spiritual. And we need to reach to that essence rather than be lost in these details here and there and going against each other. Rather than finding the way, we are just distracted from this place and that place, and in this way we are in trouble. So we need to understand, you rightly said, essence of that, and that essence is one. You're right, humanness.
Professor Marazi.
Professor Dams.
Professor Marazi.
Yeah.
Professor Dams.
Yes, madam, just 1 minute. Professor Maraji, nature is the symbol of universality.
Yeah.
In Upanishad, we call it Rita. Rita means the cosmic order. So in cosmic order, there is no excuse, there is no compromise, there is no exception. So like our dharma should be. Okay, so there is no excuse, no compromise,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
exception. It is an universal order, it is a cosmic order. So
Fitra.
religions may vary from ritualistic standpoints, from the institutional rules and regulations, but every religion should be goal oriented. Should have one should be based upon the cardinal values. The cardinal values, not the customary values. Religions are based upon customary values, rituals, practices. Your prayer is different from my prayer, but the goal of a prayer is the same. It is not important whom you pray. It is important that you pray. The attitude of praying, that you have that reverence, you have that attitude of praying God or Allah or anything else, anybody else. That attitude is religious. That attitude is necessary. Whom you perceive is not important. That you perceive is important. So everybody should have that attitude. Everybody should have that ethical sense. Everybody should have the understanding of the essence, irrespective of
Yes.
irrespective of the
Roma,
differences.
Roma madam, please. Because we are running short of time. Roma madam.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I just wanted to play on a couple of words. One, that we are never born into a religion, because I've challenged every human being on earth that if I keep a newborn baby before you, can you tell me what religion he belongs to? So we are never born in a religion. We are all born as human beings. It is only afterwards that our parents thrust upon us a way of life, and the rituals, as Professor Das has been telling us. The other thing is, we will become good human beings only if we believe in the fundamentals of the religion that we are following. The only thin line is that we do not have to become fanatic about those fundamentals. Until and unless we don't follow the fundamentals of our religion, whatever we decide to follow, then we'll never be good followers, no? We'll never become perfect. We'll never be God oriented. We'll never go to that Supreme Personality. I just wanted to play on these words so that as we retire from this meeting, we'll carry back some good thoughts. And I'm sure Almighty will help us develop our inner selves. Thank you so much.
So nice.
Thank you, Roma madam. Thank you so much. Well, listening to Professor Das and Marazi and all, and the question raised by Prabhash Kumar sir. And something to add, just one, we don't have much time, just on the question of universal religion, when Swami Vivekananda was asked whether universal religion is ever possible, Swamiji said that it is already there. You are talking about the possibility. It is already there. Just we are not aware of it, and just I'm trying to make you aware of that. So that is the point. That is the point that Professor Das was rising on. That is, dharma is the essence of life. The essence is already there. Just we have not realized that essence, and there is a need to realize that essence. So thank you very much. So Professor Marazi, Professor Das, Professor Roma Vani madam, Professor Ranjit Ghosh, and all others who interacted in the session. Now, well, Kailas Mahana sir has left for some personal work. Well, I should thank, let us end up the interaction session. I should thank Professor Marazi sir for a very nice lecture, and his lecture has brought in a lot of things to discuss, and really, as Roma madam towards the end has raised, spoke so beautifully, very short but pertinent issue, that we should carry something so that we can take this discussion. Sir.
One thing I shall speak about Professor Maraji.
Yes.
Whenever he speaks, he really enjoys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And that is true religion.
Because he has a sense of acceptance.
Yes.
So nice. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Belonging to a different religion, today he spoke about Indian religions or Hinduism, Vedanta, Buddhism, That is wonderful, and he was enjoying that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, the thing
Right,
is,
sir.
Professor Marazi has no problem with any religion because he has gone through different religions and he has already developed a sense of acceptance. He has his own practices, that is different, but he has already developed a sense of acceptance. That's why he enjoys his lecture without being confined to a perspective. He tries to explore the perspectives and tries to see the truth in the different perspectives, and he finds the perspectives are different, but the goal is the same. So that is the thing that we should learn from Professor Marazi. That's why he enjoys his lecture and is very true to himself.
Thank you, sir.
So he's so beautiful in his lecture. Well, thank you so much, sir. So, Professor Das has already thanked you. Well, it's a nice lecture and in the shortest of time, because yesterday you were said that you have got to deliver a lecture because Chetna Gupta is not here. So immediately you made up the mind and you said, yes, I'm going to deliver a lecture. So that is the commitment that you have, and we should thank for this and for the nice lecture that you have delivered. And we should thank everybody who have participated in this lecture and webinar and made this webinar so successful. I should thank Professor Dr. Ranjit Ghosh sir, who actually raises so beautiful questions, and it's very difficult the way he raises the questions, and it becomes the center point for discussion. And today even Professor Das has given us a very good message that religion is the way of life and dharma is the essence of life, and it's a very good take for all of us. Dharma is the essence of life and religion is the way of life, and that is a very good message, I should say. And Roma madam too, and in the chat box too, Roma madam was very active, and she is very new to this family, and we are expecting a lecture from her on later, say in the end of May or something like that. Welcome madam to this
July,
family.
sir. Dr. Rao, 3rd of July you have given me. 3rd of July.
Dr. Rao,
Sir,
her voice is very inspiring.
very pleasant to hear her.
No doubt.
Sir. So with these words, I should thank one and all, because it's already 9:10, so we should not take it long, and thanking the speaker and thanking everybody, those who have participated and made this webinar so successful. And since this webinar is available in YouTube, we can go through this and we can further develop the thought that Professor Marazi tried to see. And one thing that I see say that he tried to see goodness in every religion. That is the best point that we can take from him. So how should I thank? I don't know. Well, even Ranjit Ghosh sir is there with something. Well, sir, you want to say something, sir? Professor Ghosh.
I would like to say that Professor Marazi is always with us, with his interreligious understanding, and that is really great, because we have limited knowledge in certain religious sectors, and because he's working on that, he is definitely an asset for us. Thank you.
We are learning from each other, sir.
Okay, so nice of you, sir. So nice of you for having this lecture. I should thank everybody, and I could see Prabhas Kumar sir today. And he's also a new entrant to philosophy family. I should welcome him, and thanks for his presence. And overall, I should thank everybody for making this webinar so successful. So above all, I should thank even Professor Das for making this webinar possible. So thanking one and all, let us move to Professor Das to declare this meeting closed. Namaskar and good night, everybody.
Thank you, sir.